child, you know how anxious your guardian is that you should improve yourself in every way. He laid particular stress on your German as he was leaving for town yesterday. Indeed, he always lays stress on your German when he is leaving for town.
Dear Uncle Jack is so very serious. Sometimes I think he's so serious he cannot be quite well.
Your guardian enjoys the best of health, and I know no one with a higher sense of duty and responsibility.
I suppose that is why he often looks so bored when the three of us are together.
You must remember his constant anxiety about that unfortunate young man, his brother.
I wish Uncle Jack would allow that unfortunate young man, his brother, to come down here sometimes. I do think we would have a wonderful influence over him, Miss Prism. You especially. Why, you know German and geology and, well, things like that influence a man very much.
I do not think that even I could produce any effect on a man that, according to his own brother's admission, is irretrievably weak and vacillating. Now, I do not approve of this modern mania for turning bad people into good people at a moment's notice. As a man sows, so let him reap. Put away your diary, Cecily. I really don't see why you should keep a diary at all.
I keep a diary in order to enter all the wonderful secrets of my life. Why, I think if I didn't write them down, I should probably forget all about them.
Memory, my dear Cecily, is the diary that we all carry about with us.
Yes, but it usually chronicles things that have never happened, and probably could never have happened, and well, I think memory is responsible for nearly all the 3-volume novels we read.
Do not speak slightingly of the 3-volume novel, Cecily. I wrote one myself in earlier days.
Did you really, Miss Prism? How wonderfully clever you are. I hope it did not end happily. I don't like novels that end happily. They depress me so much.
The good ended happily. The bad ended unhappily. That is what fiction means.
I suppose so, but it does seem rather unfair. Now tell me, was your novel ever published?
Alas, no. The manuscript, unfortunately, was abandoned. I use the word in the sense of lost or mislaid.
Oh, why there's Dr. Chasuble coming in through the garden.
Dr. Chasuble! This is indeed a pleasure!
How are we this morning, Miss Prism? You all right, just well?
Oh, yes. Well, Miss Prism has just been complaining of a headache. In fact, I think it would do her quite a bit of good to have a nice stroll through the park with you, Dr. Chasuble.
Cecily, I have not said anything about a headache.
Right, but I felt instinctively that you did have a headache. In fact, it was that which I was thinking of and not my German lesson when the rector came in.
I do hope, Cecily, you're not being inattentive.
I am afraid I am. I am.
It's strange. Were I Miss Prism's pupil, I would hang upon her lips. Metaphorically speaking. My metaphor being drawn from bees. Mr. Worthing has not returned from town yet.
No, we do not expect him until Monday afternoon.
Yes, he does like to spend his Sundays in London. He's not one of those whose sole aim is enjoyment, as by all accounts that unfortunate young man his brother seems to be. But I must not disturb Egeria and her pupil any longer.
Egeria, my name, dear doctor, is Letitia.
Yes, my dear, merely a classical allusion, drawn from the pagan authors. I trust I shall see you both at church this evening.
Toy doctor, I will take that stroll, perhaps, with you. After all, I find I do have a headache, and a walk might do it good.
With pleasure, Miss Prism, with pleasure. We may go as far as M Street and back.
That would be nice. Cecily, you will continue with your political economy in my absence. The chapter on the Indian rupee you may omit. It is somewhat too sensational.
Horrid political economy, horrid geography, horrid German.
Excuse me, miss. Mr. Ernest Worthing has just driven over from the station and he's brought his luggage.
Mr. Ernest Worthing, the Albany, Uncle Jack's brother. Ask Mr. Worthing to come here.
Yes, miss.
I've never met a truly wicked person before. I feel so frightened. I feel so afraid. He'll look like everyone else. He does.
You must be my little cousin Cecily, I'm sure.
I am not little. In fact, I am more than usually tall for my age. But yes, I am your cousin Cecily. You are Uncle Jack's brother, cousin Ernest, my wicked cousin Ernest.
You mustn't think of me as wicked, cousin Cecily. You mustn't think of me as wicked at all.
If you are not, then you certainly have been deceiving us all in a very inexcusable manner. I hope you are not leading a double life, pretending to be wicked and really being good all the time. That would be hypocrisy.
Well, I have been rather reckless.
I'm glad to hear it. Although I don't think you should be too proud of that fact, as I'm sure it was quite pleasant.
Well, it's much more pleasant her being here with you. That is why I want you to reform me. You might make that your mission, if you don't mind, cousin Cecily.
I'm afraid I have no time this afternoon.
Yes, but being with you, I feel better already.
You're looking a bit worse.
That's because I'm hungry.
Oh, I should have remembered that when one is to lead an entirely new life, one requires regular and wholesome meals. Follow me into the dining room.
You are the prettiest girl I ever saw.
Miss Prism says all good looks are a snare.
A snare that any sensible man would want to be caught in.
Well, I don't think I'd like to catch a sensible man. I wouldn't know what to talk to him about.
You are too much alone, dear doctor. You should get married. A misanthrope, I understand. A womanthrope, never. You do not seem to realize that by persistently remaining single, a man converts himself into a public temptation.
But is a man not equally attractive when married?
No married man is ever attractive. Except to his wife.
And often I've been told, not even to her.
That depends on the intellectual sympathies of the woman. Maturity can always be depended on. Young women are green. I spoke horticulturally. My metaphor was drawn from fruits. But where is Cecily?
Perhaps she followed us to M Street.
Mr. Worthing.
Mr. Worthing, I have returned sooner than I expected.
garb of woe does not betoken some terrible calamity.
My brother.
More shameful debts and extravagance.
Still leading his life of pleasure.
Dead.
Your brother Earnest dead?
Quite dead.
What a lesson for him. I trust he shall profit from it.
Mr. Worthing, I offer my sincere condolences. Were you with him at the end?
No, he apparently died in Paris, I'm told. Of a severe chill, in fact.
As a man sows, so let him reap.
Charity, Miss Prism, charity. None of us are perfect. I myself am quite susceptible to drafts. Will the interment take place here?
No, he expressed a desire to be buried in Paris.
In Paris? I fear that hardly points to any very serious state of mind at the last. You will no doubt wish me to make some slight allusion to this tragic domestic affliction in my sermon on Sunday.
Yes.
You know, my sermon on the meaning of the manna in the wilderness can be adapted to almost any occasion. I preached it at harvest celebrations, christenings, confirmations, on days of humiliation, and festal days. I last delivered it in the cathedral, with the bishop in attendance. It was a charity sermon on behalf of the Society for the Prevention of Discontent among the Upper Orders, commonly referred to as the poor put upon 1%. Yes, they're very discontented. This one right here. Yeah, this one too. Yeah, so clearly, tragically discontented.
Dr. Chasuble, you mentioned christenings. Did you, I suppose you know how to do that. I should very much like to get christened myself if you have nothing better to do.
But surely, Mr. Worthing, you've been christened already.
I really don't remember anything about that at all. You don't think I'm too old, do you?
Not at all. Sprinkling and indeed immersion of adults is a perfectly canonical practice.
Immersion?
No need for apprehension. Sprinkling is all that is necessary or advisable. Our weather is so unpredictable. At what hour would you like the ceremony performed?
Could I drop by around 5?
Very good, very good. And now, Mr. Worthing, I will no longer intrude into this house of sorrow. I would merely beg of you to not be too much bowed down by grief. You know, what seem to us bitter trials are often blessings in disguise.
This seems to me a blessing of an extremely obvious kind.
Uncle Jack! Oh, Uncle Jack, I'm so pleased to see you back. What's the matter, Uncle Jack? You look as if you've had a toothache. And I've got such a surprise for you. Guess who's in the dining room? Your brother.
Who?
Your brother Ernest. He arrived about a half an hour ago.
That's nonsense. I haven't got a brother anymore.
Oh, Uncle Jack, don't say that. However badly he behaved to you in the past, he is still your brother. I'll tell him to come out.
My brother in the dining room.
These are very joyful tidings.
Hello, Brother Jack. Oh, good grief! I've come in from out of town to tell you how sorry I am for all the trouble I've caused, and I promise to lead a better life in the future.
Uncle Jack! You're not going to refuse your own brother's hand?
Nothing will induce me to take his hand. I think his coming down here quite a disgrace, and I think he knows very well why.
Uncle Jack, do be nice. There is some good in everyone. Why, Ernest has just been telling me all about his poor invalid friend, Mr. Bunbury, who he goes to see so often. And surely there must be some good in one who is kind to an invalid and leaves the pleasures of London to sit by a bed of pain.
Bunbury! He's been talking to you about Bunbury, has he?
Oh, yes, he's told me all about Mr. Bunbury and his terrible state of health.
Well, I won't have to talk to you about Bunbury or anything else.
Uncle Jack, you don't shake hands with Ernest. I will never forgive you.
Well, this will be the last time I do it.
pleasant, is it not, to see so perfect a reconciliation? We shall leave the brothers together now. You have done a beautiful action today, dear child.
We must not be premature in our judgment. Cecily, you will come with us.
I feel very happy.
Out here! You scoundrel! You have to leave this place. I don't allow any bun-bearing around here.
Excuse me, sir. I have put Mr. Earnest's things in the room next to yours. 3 portmanteaus, a dressing case, 2 hot boxes, and a large luncheon basket. I suppose that is all right?
Yes, I can only stay for a week this time.
Merriman, call the dog cart. Mr. Earnest has been suddenly carried away off on business.
Yes, sir.
What a fearful liar you are, Jack. I have not been called away at all. Where's your butler from?
Portugal or Malta, I don't know. Look, your duty as a gentleman calls you back.
My duty as a gentleman has never interfered with my pursuit of pleasures in the smallest degree. Cecily's a darling.
Don't you dare talk about her. I don't like it.
And I don't like your clothes. You look perfectly ridiculous in them. And it's perfectly childish to be in mourning for a man who's staying with you at your house now for a week.
You are certainly not staying here.
Well, I certainly won't be leaving. You in mourning, that would be most unfriendly.
Will you go if I change my clothes?
If it doesn't take so long, yes. I've never seen anyone take so long with such little result. Why, if I myself am ever occasionally overdressed, I make up for it by being immensely overeducated.
Your vanity is ridiculous. Look, I wish you a very good journey back. This bun-bearing, as you call it, has not been a great success for you.
You're wrong. It has been a great success. I'm in love with Cecily, and that is everything. But I must see her before I go and make arrangements for another Bunbury. Ah, there she is.
Oh, I came back to water the roses. I thought you were with Uncle Jack.
Well, he sent the dog cart for me.
The dog cart? Oh, is he going to take you for a nice drive?
No, he's going to send me away.
Does that mean we've got to part?
I'm afraid so.
The absence of old friends one can endure with equanimity, but even a momentary separation from one to whom you've just been acquainted is absolutely unbearable.
Thank you.
And Worthing, the dog cart's ready. Let's go. Come on.
Oh.
Come on.
Oh. Merriman, it can wait for 5 minutes?
Yes, miss.
Yes.
Cecily, I hope I do not offend you if I speak openly and frankly and say that you seem to me in most every way the visible personification of absolute perfection.
Thank you. Now, if you allow me, I will copy your remarks down in my diary. When they appear in volume form, I do hope you will order a copy, Ernest. I delight in taking down from dictation. Absolute perfection. You can go on. I'm quite ready for more. Ernest, don't cough. When one is dictating, one should speak fluently and not cough. Besides, I don't know how to spell cough.
Cecily, ever since I gazed upon your wondrous and incomparable beauty, I've wanted to love you wildly, passionately, devotedly, hopelessly. I love you, Cecily. Will you marry me? Question mark, exclamation.
Oh, you silly boy! Why, we've been engaged for the last 3 months.
3 months?
Well, it will be exactly 3 months next Thursday.
And how did we become engaged?
Oh, well, ever since Uncle Jack told me he had a younger brother who was very wicked and bad, I fell in love with you, Ernest.
And when was our engagement actually settled?
On February 14th last, worn out by your entire ignorance of my existence, and after a very long struggle with myself, I decided to accept you under this dear old tree here. The very next day, I bought this ring in your name.
I bought you that? I mean, it's very pretty, isn't it?
Oh, you've got wonderfully good taste, Ernest. The very next day, I keep all of your letters in this wonderful little box here.
Dear Cecily, I didn't write you any letters.
You need hardly remind me of that, Ernest. I was only forced to write them for you. I wrote 3 times a week, sometimes oftener.
Do let me read them, Cecily.
I couldn't possibly. That would make you far too conceited. Besides, the 3 you wrote to me after I had broken off the engagement are so beautiful and so badly misspelled that even now I tear up a little when I read them.
So, was our engagement broken off?
Of course it was. It wouldn't have been a really serious engagement if it hadn't been broken off at least once. But I forgave you before the week was out.
What a perfect little angel you are.
Come here, dear boy. Oh, I love your hair. Tell me, does it curl naturally?
Yes, with a little help from others.
Oh, now you mustn't laugh at me, Ernest, but it's always been a girlish dream of mine to love a man whose name was Earnest.
Cecily, do you mean that you couldn't love me if I had another name?
But what name?
I don't know, like Algernon, for instance. It's an aristocratic name, and half the chaps at the bankruptcy court are named Algernon.
But I don't like the name Algernon. Besides, your name is Earnest.
Cecily, you have a rector here. Is he experienced and practiced in the rites and the rituals of the church?
Oh, yes, Dr. Chasuble is a most learned man. He's never written a book, so you can imagine how much he knows.
Then I must see him at once about a christening. I must see him at once about an important business matter. I shan't be gone more than a half of an hour.
What an impetuous boy he is. I like his hair so much. I must write his proposal down in my diary.
Excuse me, miss. Sorry for interrupting. Miss Fairfax has called to see Mr. Worthing. She says it's on important business.
Miss Fairfax? Pray, ask the lady to come here and bring tea.
Okay.
Miss Fairfax? I suppose one of the many good elderly women who are associated with Uncle Jack in his philanthropic efforts in London. Not someone I would have anything in common with.
Miss Fairfax.
Pray! Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Cecily Cardew.
Cecily Cardew? What a very sweet name. I like you already. My first impressions of people are never wrong.
How nice of you to like me so much after we've known each other for such a comparatively short time. Pray, sit down.
I may call you Cecily, may I not?
With pleasure.
And you will always call me Gwendolyn, won't you?
If you wish.
And that's quite settled then, isn't it?
I hope so.
My mama, whose views on education are remarkably strict, has brought me up to be extremely short-sighted. So do you mind my looking at you through my glasses?
Oh, of course not. I'm very fond of being the assistance of Miss Prism, has the arduous task of looking after me.
Your guardian?
Yes, I'm Mr. Worthing's ward.
Ernest never mentioned to me having a ward. How secretive of him. He grows more interesting hourly.
I beg your pardon, Gwendolyn. Did you say Ernest?
Yes?
Oh, well, it is not Mr. Ernest Worthing who is my guardian. It's his brother, his elder brother.
Ernest never mentioned having a brother. Are you quite sure it is not Mr. Ernest Worthing who is your guardian?
Quite sure. In fact, I am going to be his.
I beg your pardon?
Well, there's no point in keeping a secret of it from you, Gwendolyn. Our little county newspaper is sure to chronicle the fact next week. But Mr. Ernest Worthing and I are engaged to be married.
My darling Cecily, I feel there must be some slight error, for Mr. Ernest Worthing is engaged to me. The announcement will be in the Morning Post by Saturday at the latest.
I'm afraid there must be some misunderstanding, Miss Fairfax, for Ernest proposed to me exactly 15 minutes ago.
It is certainly very curious, for he asked me to be his wife yesterday afternoon at 5:30. If you care to verify the incident, pray do so. I never travel without my diary. One must always have something sensational to read on the train. I'm sorry, dear Cecily, but I'm afraid I have the prior claim.
It would distress me more than I can tell you, dear Gwendolyn, but it appears since Ernest proposed to you, he has clearly changed his mind.
If the poor fellow has been entrapped into some foolish promise, I shall consider it my duty to rescue him, and with a firm hand.
Do you suggest, Miss Fairfax, that I entrapped Ernest into an engagement? How dare you! When I see a spade, I call it a spade.
Well, I'm glad to say I've never seen a spade. It is obvious our social spheres are widely different.
How dare you say that?
Shall I lay the tea here as usual, miss?
Yes, Merriman, as usual.
Are there many interesting walks in the vicinity, Miss Cardew?
Yes, from the top of one of the mountains, one can see 5 counties.
5 counties? I don't think I should like that very much. I hate crowds.
I suppose that is why you live in town?
Oh, what a well-kept garden this is, Miss Cardew. I had no idea there were flowers in the country. Personally, I cannot imagine how anybody manages to exist in the country, if anybody who is anybody does.
Flowers are as common here, Miss Fairfax, as people are in London.
Personally, the country always bores me to death.
And is this what the newspapers are calling agricultural depression, is it not? Merriman, that's enough. Miss Fairfax, would you like sugar with your tea?
Oh, no, thank you. Sugar is not fashionable anymore.
And cake or bread and butter?
Oh, bread and butter, please. Cake is rarely seen in the best households nowadays.
Merriman, hand that to Miss Fairfax.
Yes, miss.
Thank you.
Oh, you have filled my tea with lumps of sugar, and when I most distinctly asked for bread and butter, you've given me cake? I may be known for the gentleness of my disposition, Miss Cardew, but you may go too far.
To save my poor, innocent boy from the machinations of any other girl, there are no lengths to which I would not go.
Ernest! My own Ernest! A moment. May I ask, are you engaged to be married to this young lady?
Dear little Cecily, heavens no! What could have put such an idea in your pretty little head?
Thank you. You may.
Gwendolyn, I knew there must be some slight error. Why, the man whose arm is round your waist is my guardian,
darling.
Ernest, a question. Are you engaged to be married to this young lady?
Good heavens, Gwendolyn! Now, what could have put a silly idea in your pretty little head?
Oh, thank you. You may.
I felt that there must be some slight error, Miss Cardew. The gentleman who is now embracing you is my cousin, Mr. Algernon Moncrief.
Algernon Moncrief? Your name is Algernon?
I cannot deny it.
Is your name really Jack?
I could deny it if I liked. I could deny anything if I liked, but my name is certainly Jack. It's been John for years.
A gross deception has been practiced on us.
My poor, wounded Cecily.
My sweet wronged Gwendolyn.
Mr. Worthing, there is just one question I'd like to put to you. Where is your brother Ernest? We are both engaged to be married to your brother Ernest, so it is of some importance for us to know where your brother Ernest is at present.
Gwendolyn, Cecily, it pains me very much to be forced to speak the truth. Really rather inexperienced in doing anything of the sort. I must say quite frankly, I have no brother Ernest. I have never had a brother in my life, and I certainly have no small intention of having one in the future.
No brother at all?
None.
I'm afraid it is quite clear, dear Cecily, that neither of us is engaged to be married to anyone.